Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of the Tablas Creek Instagram Live conversation. I'm your host, Jason Haas, and today we're going to be diving into a harvest update. So we are, of course, it's the third week of September. We are what would normally be the peak of harvest. And this has been an unusual enough year that I thought it would be fun to invite a couple of members of our team to give an update as to where we are. So I will have our senior assistant winemaker, Franchi, and our director of Vineyard operations, Austin Collins, who will be joining to share what they have seen so far. But as I always do, while I am waiting for people to join, I'll share a few pictures, starting with this morning. So you can take a look at some of the clouds that came through after our storm last night. This is from the home vineyard, from the Haas Vineyard, where I live. You can see there is some water on. This is some of the second crop clusters of Pinot Noir. We got about a third of an inch out here at Tablas, similar amount in Templeton. And so I don't think that that's going to be enough to have any negative impacts, but it will slow things down for a day or two. That's about it. Otherwise, we are at the point where the grapes are looking amazing. So I want to share a few pictures. So this is Mourvèdre. It's been a long time since we've seen Mourvèdre clusters look that pretty. I'll share, what else do we have here? Grenache. I mean, Grenache is always like beauty pageant. The most incredible clusters. I'll share you another couple of Grenache clusters. I mean, they're just so perfect and beautiful. What else do we've got? I'll show you a Counoise cluster, which is, Counoise is not always the best looking. This year, the clusters look amazing. I'll get you one more. I'll get you some Sanso. So first picture sort of inside a Sanso head-trained vine, and then a close-up of a cluster. Got there. So things are through veraison. We are just waiting for them to get ripe enough to bring in. Okay, what else do I have? We harvested our small half-ton of Muscardin, up 10% over last year, so from 0.46 tons to 0.5 tons. Not enough to change the real quantities. It'll still be just a barrel. But it's exciting to get it in, and it's exciting to check one of the grapes fully off the lists. And finally, I will finish with a picture of the harvest chalkboard. You can see that it is filling up, but it is it gives you a sense of where we are, less than halfway through. Okay, that's it. I am going to stop sharing pictures, and I am going to invite Chelsea and Austin to join, and then you can hear from the real experts as to what's going on. Hopefully, this will work straightforwardly. Hey, magic.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, guys. Awesome. I gave a super quick introduction to you. Could you both, though, start just by introducing yourselves?
Yeah, sure. I'm Franchi. I'm the senior assistant winemaker here at Tablas Creek. This is, I believe, my 18th harvest here at this estate. And I am joined by...
My name is Austin Collins. I'm Vineyard operations manager. I also work in the cellar during harvest on the white wine program.
Did y'all coordinate your sunglasses for this visit?
Almost, yeah, pretty much.
We felt very Blues Brothers out here, but when the sun peeks through those clouds, it is searing. So we're just protecting. Yeah.
You're ready.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Austin, let's start with Vineyard. How are you feeling about where we are so far? Where are we in terms of what's done, what's close? Do you have a percentage of the way that we are through harvest, and any other observations you feel like at this point?
Yeah, I'd say we're probably 30% roughly done. It's mostly whites. We only have a few reds in yet. But things are looking good. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's similar to 23 as far as numbers go. The difference being though that the yield is substantially higher. So two
How much
right
would you
there.
say it's like, what is substantially higher?
I think the last year we got about 300 tons off the estate. I'm guessing this year will be like 335 to 340 in that range.
That's not really that. I mean, that's only 10% or a little more above. That's not, we're not talking a
Feels
huge
good.
difference.
It doesn't feel that significant, but when you're seeing every individual lot come in just a little bit healthier than the last few years, it's a bolstering feeling, like not only are the yields a little bit higher, but the numbers are looking good so far. I feel like this year has been, as a harvest, it's been slow and it's felt like fits and starts, but the stuff that we've seen come in has been encouraging.
Yeah, and that being said, it's been mostly white. So for the reds, we have yet to see what the yields will be like as well.
Cool. I saw that one of the things that I'm excited about, and I know we shared this on social media, I guess it was last week, people were pretty excited about seeing the additional tonnage of Claret Blanche that we got in, compared to last year. That will hopefully allow us to do a varietal of Claret for the first time since 21.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a substantial increase from last year, especially since this other block, Cote Maduena, came online. Really, that's going to really push up the numbers for that varietal.
Awesome. So, talk about the pacing. Chelsea, you mentioned that it's felt like a slow start to harvest so far.
Maybe not, maybe not for Boo. So Austin has been working in the white press room. So he's been working with Caitlin, and they've been handling all of the white wine arrivals, all the white varieties, and they have not been experiencing a fits and starts harvest. They have been going pretty consistently every single day. I haven't talked to you about this yet, but I was telling Caitlin at lunch yesterday, I really miss you, because they're just like in a completely separate area of, I miss you too, Boo.
Yeah, I heard that.
And then in the main cellar area where we process all of the red varieties, that has felt very stop and go. I mean, it's so funny because last weekend there was maybe 2 real cap management tanks that needed to be done. It was like everything that had come in had been pressed off and barreled down and put to bed. And so we only had like 1 or 2 fermentations for reds this weekend. So normally on the weekends, we're coming in, we're doing cap management, continuing on with the drill. And this weekend we're like, I don't know, we don't really need anybody to come in because it's pretty chill in here. And then we started off this week, everybody's like, oh, it feels like harvest again. We've got good pacing. We're bringing in a lot of fruit. And then last night, early this morning around 2 a.m., the brakes got put on hard with a really, really incredible thunderstorm with lightning. And it was like Mother Nature on full display, like quite a show. But we got rain, we got some hail. So everything is just going to stop for a while until everything dries out. I mean, as you mentioned in the intro, the vineyard is no worse for wear. Got a little irrigation from Mother Nature.
Wash off the dust.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be fine, but we are probably going to wait a few days on all the things that we had planned to pick both today and tomorrow and just push everything back just to let everything dry out and catch back up. So that's where we are.
So Austin, you were out here last night. I mean, you live out here, so you were out here last night. What was it like?
So it was pretty quiet. I got back to my house around 10 last night, and it was still dry. No thunder, no lightning yet. And then about 2 a.m., like right when the picking crew shows up to pick, it started to rain a little bit. And David, our vineyard manager, called me and was like, do you want to keep going? Or what's I said, just wait out. Let's see if it just spits for a little bit, and then maybe we can start going. And then like 30 minutes later, it started to torrentially rain, and then lightning came, and it was pretty much every 30 seconds lightning strikes within our vicinity. So we called the pick off and just kind of sat in the weather. Yeah.
It was like a strobe light show at our house in Templeton, and it was for about 2 hours. It was really every few seconds. It was.
Yeah, it was nonstop, wasn't it? Yeah, it was crazy.
But not really. I was a little surprised when I looked this morning and saw that we were only at, I think it was what, 0.35 inches or something of rain out here. Not really that much.
Yeah, yeah. The Western Weather one I think showed 3.5, and the one on Crosshairs showed 4.2, but somewhere in there. Yeah, I think most of that came within like an hour and a half, 2 hour period as well, from like 2 to 5, maybe 4:30. Yeah.
Well, and
And
nice
I think
too,
go ahead,
you've
Chelsea.
got some cloud cover now. You can definitely feel that humidity pressure. But the sun's starting to come out. The vineyard looks great. So as far as rains are concerned, this is this is fine. This is good. We wish that we were still going because I think everybody is just kind of like chomping at the bit. Like, if harvest is going to be here, we just want harvest to be here.
Not yet.
Yeah, I think all of us are just like still waiting on the start line, just like ah. Yeah, because I don't know. I think like Boo said, we're about 50% through purchase fruit and approximately 30% through our estate fruit. So on average, maybe about a little less than 40% finished with harvest, or 39%. But it just hasn't felt like that yet. We haven't gotten into the situation where it's just like your morning is full of a couple hours of cap management, and then you're just like deep into sorting fruit, and just like that rumble and whine and hiss and just like all of the noises that we're so accustomed to hearing during harvest. All we really hear every day is like the white press.
Me and Kayla walking
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah, they're wearing a path through the cellar, but the rest of us are just like, can we help you?
Yeah, I mean, a real busy harvest day is when you're picking reds, you're picking whites. So you're pressing whites, you got reds going across the sorting table, and you're also pressing red tanks. When all those things are going on, it's pretty wild. And I think we've had one day of that.
Yeah, we
So
haven't
take
been
people
plugging over
through
hoses.
take people through what a normal, like a busy day in the cellar is like. What time does it start? What is the sequence? What's a busy cellar day at Tablas Creek like?
Well, a very busy day starts with whites. We have the guys pick whites early so we can get that in the press as soon as possible because that press cycle is a bit longer. So our biggest day on the white press is 3 to 4 press loads. So I'll get in.
So when you say early, when you say you have the guys start early, that's like 2 a.m. Like
They
they showed up last night, right?
They start picking at 2 a.m. and I'll typically come in 3:30 or 4 and check on the guys, make sure everything's going good. They're in the spot where they need to be, picking the fruit they need to pick, and then I'll come into the cellar and start loading the white press and check the numbers that come out of the press to make sure they are in line with what we want and what our sample came in at. And then everyone starts to get here at 7 o'clock, and then things start moving. And then Chelsea starts doing her thing, rosé and all that.
Okay, so we're at 7 o'clock. We've got a load in the press, probably a second load in the press at that point. You have white grapes coming in. Then what happens?
So then what we're going to start doing is really turning over tanks of red that we had brought in the day before. So first thing, we'll start, getting a good mix on the red tanks. So after everything had already gone through the day prior on the sorting table, gone through the destemmer, gone through the pump, into the tank, we'll let it soak up overnight so that when we check numbers the next day, it's the most accurate representation of what we're actually looking at in the tank. So we'll give it a quick mix, check the wet chemistry on it, add SO2, do all these things. If we're going to be pulling Saunier for dianthus, at that point we'll pull the Saunier before we give it a mix, just so we're not picking up too much color. And then we'll start, draining tanks if we're going to be pressing off reds. So that would be draining all the juice off until you just have the solids left in tank. Then somebody's going to climb in there to start digging the solids out. And then that fruit will go into the red press and get pressed off and barreled down. Simultaneously, you'll have people up on the sorting table, just sorting through all the red fruit before it goes into tank.
So when is that red fruit? When is that's being picked after the sun comes up?
Yes, typically. And one of the things, so Austin likes to get the white varieties in earlier. So that they're nice and cold, the red varieties. And it can depend sometimes too on if you're doing a right pick. So the crew that we have here has been, a long time crew for us. So these guys, I mean, they've been here longer than I have, a lot of them. So they know this property inside and out. They know our parameters that we're looking for. So if we're requesting a ripe pick on something, if they're going through and we're asking them to clean out the entire block, that's, that can be done pretty easily at 2 a.m. That's fine. And we do have, a lot of good lights and things. But if we are requesting just a ripe pick, meaning that we only want grapes, that kind of fit within these parameters and look like this, or from a certain block, or, just pick these clusters that look like this from a few vines, then they'll start that later in the day just so that they can see, what they're picking a little bit easier and go through a little bit more diligently. So there's, we have kind of these hard rules until they're not hard rules. And that's just kind of how harvest is. Everything needs to be a little bit fluid. Everything needs to be a little bit bendable, because this is always the plan until it needs to change.
And it changes
yeah.
every time.
And it changes frequently.
Yeah, that's the only constant is change.
Yeah.
Okay, so so there's that busy morning of processing, like the red tanks you already have fermenting, getting the new reds sorted and destemmed and into tank. Then what?
Then at that point, it's going to be, well, actually, I should mention, this is an important part of harvest at Tablas Creek, because we're very grateful for it. But Austin's mom and, Neil's wife, Marcy Collins, cooks lunch for us Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And so she shows up at 12:30 and brings a home-cooked meal with a salad starter and an entree and a dessert, and everything stops. And we pull out bottles of wine that we have gotten from friends in the industry, or tastings that we've been to. And sometimes people will bring in blind bottles. So, we'll all taste it blind and discuss what we think it is and why. And it's just a really nice reminder, I think, of, this isn't a job that we're trying to get finished. We're not trying to get through the day. This is going to be something that we're crafting, that's going to be on somebody else's table, that they're going to discuss with people that they love and talk about or start a conversation. And just to have that moment during a busy day where everything is just quiet for a second and you're just connecting with the people around you in a different way instead of just working so hard, towards a common goal. This is just a nice way to get the team together to bond. Yeah. And remember
everyone
why.
gets so spread out during the day and everyone's doing their own thing, and it's kind of madness, and it kind of brings everyone back to the table and we get to see each other for a moment or two before we head back out.
Yeah, and then after lunch we have our espressos, and then right back to it. And that's whether that's loading the next press cycle or continuing on the red sorting table, or just getting right into cap management for the afternoon evening session. It all just depends on what the schedule is for the day, because again, that changes. I mean, we have a full day plan today of white presses and red processing, and it changed.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about the impact of the rain, because I think sometimes people feel like a little rain during harvest is a disaster without realizing that most places where wine grapes have been grown, like some harvest rain is actually a totally normal thing. It's just rare for us in California. So I usually figure when we get something like, I don't know, a third of an inch of rain like we did, I figure that's maybe like a 2-day pause in what we're doing. Is that what you're expecting, Austin?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And it kind of really depends on the following days. If we had 3 more days of muggy, kind of sprinkly weather, it would extend that period. But because it's going to clear up after today, I think it will dry out moderately quickly. We can get tractors back out there, because that's the real impact, is the floor and the ground. It gets really muddy, and the soils here clay up, and our tractors, the crawlers that we use for picking, would just tear the topsoil up. So it's really waiting for that. That's the biggest downside of it. There are a couple blocks out there that we have some riper fruit that we're planning to pick this week that are a little worrying, not scary, but we want to get them in as soon as possible, just because the water can cause, if there's any rot, which there doesn't look like there's much, but if there's any, it will push that forward farther.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I try to often explain to people like the issues that you worry about with rain. Like if you get enough that it gets down into the root zone and you get like the grapes swelling and splitting, that can cause problems. But something like this is not going to be nearly enough rain to do anything like that. So you just sort of need to wait for the fruit itself to dry out enough that you're not bringing in unexpected water, and the topsoil to dry out enough that you're not making your crawler tractors a foot or two taller than they're supposed to be from all the clay that they accumulate.
Yeah, exactly. And because, like you said earlier, it doesn't rain here that much, we won't have another, or hopefully won't have another substantial rain event for a while. Places, cooler climate places, they get the rain during harvest kind of all throughout harvest, and they're getting things like botrytis and things like that, which really are a fear. We don't have to deal with that.
I mean, October is the rainiest month of the year in Chateauneuf-du-Pape. That's
Right.
like important to remember. It's one of the reasons why the parents value Mourvedre so much, is that usually the Grenache and the thinner skinned grapes are in September, and then by the time it starts raining in October, like you got thick skinned stuff like Mourvedre and Roussanne still out, and that kind of shrugs off some of the issues that might affect a thinner skinned grape.
Right.
Okay, so in addition to the stuff that we get off of our own estate and the range of vineyards that we get throughout Paso Robles for Catalan, we have now 3 vineyards that we're working with for the Lignée de Tablas, and all of those, if I'm right, are in at this point.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you one or both of you want to talk about those 3 vineyards?
You talk about the red, I'll talk about the white.
Yeah, so we have brought in some fruit from Finati and Shake Ridge this year. So from the Shake Ridge Vineyard up in Amador County, farmed by Ann Kramer, we get their Syrah. The Syrah that we got from them last year it's phenomenal. We love this vineyard. We love the fruit. We're really enjoying the wine. And then similarly, this year is looking great. From the Finati Vineyard, they're up in El Dorado, I believe, which is it's actually really fun for me because it's home. I'm from El Dorado County. So for me to be working at Tablas Creek and buying fruit from Amador and El Dorado County that is Tablas Creek clones brought back here, this is truly Lignée for me too. But the Finati Vineyard is fantastic. We're doing a really, really cool blend this year. So last year we did Mourvedre Grenache, and this year we're doing Mourvedre Grenache and about a half a bin of Terry Noir. But it's fun. It's fun to see these varieties grown in different locations. So again, these are Tablas Creek clones that they have purchased, and now they're farming in a different area. And the Terry Noir, for us to look at it, because our Terry Noir, we always joke that there's nothing noir about it. It has very mottled color. The first year that we brought it in, we pulled like a 35% Saunier just to try to get some color out of it before we realized how tannic the variety was and then it didn't need that much Saunier. But the Terry Noir that we brought in from Finati is, pretty evenly colored. It's still really light, but it's just so fun to see these, slight differences just grown on a different site. So it'll be a really cool
I'm going to interrupt quickly to give a little shout out. If people haven't read it, Austin wrote a terrific blog on the Finati Vineyard a few weeks ago. So if it's a vineyard you're not familiar with, you want to know its detailed story, check out that blog. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so if you want to talk about the white.
Yeah, and so we also get a lot of white from Finati as well. It's mostly Marsanne, and a little bit of Grenache Blanc, some Claret, a bit of Vermentino this year, which makes it different than last year, and then one bin of Picardin, which is also just the same as what Chelsea's saying, seeing these varietals that we've been working with forever in a different site. They come in looking they look different, the berries are larger, the clusters are different shapes. It's just really cool to see, and compare numbers as well. And the timing that they're coming off is also pretty wild to see, because we're so used to this vineyard and so used to the kind of the times that things come in every year. And we've already picked everything out there. That stuff isn't even close here, the same varieties,
That is something for people to know. There's been a big, it's been quite a cool year on the coast of California. And it's been a warmer than average year in inland parts of California. So people think of California as, I think, being more uniform than it really is. But just even in terms of like variation compared to normal, this year, like we're a little late, and places in the Central Valley and the Sierra foothills, they're early compared to normal, just because it hasn't been the same weather pattern.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's weird having all those things come in first. And then the other vineyard we're working with, which is our first year this year, is called the Bench Vineyard, which is in Lodi. And we got Vermentino from them. So it's going to be 100% single varietal Vermentino. I believe we have about 800 gallons of that. It's already pretty close to dry, so that's pretty exciting as well. Again, we haven't worked with this vineyard before, so it's really new to see those numbers. And we tasted a bit of some wines that were made from that vineyard before, but besides that, we have really no idea what it's going to turn out like. So the mystery.
It's a regenerative, organically farmed vineyard, right? It's like that was
ROC
one of the reasons
certified.
why it sort of ended up on our radar.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Tablas clones again, as all Linea is. It's ROC certified. It's also Demeter certified, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so that's and it was at the right price, and it fit right into our bill.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for that. I think it's going to be really cool. That'll be probably the first one of these that anyone will see. My guess is we'll probably bottle that like in January when we bottle our estate Vermentino, and it might be out by like late winter.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Have them side by side.
I would like to take a moment to I did have the Finati from last year, the Finati Blanc last year, this last weekend, and that wine rips. It's so good. It is so good. Yeah. So I feel like it just kind of builds the stoke, when you see the fruit coming off of that refrigerated truck and, go into press and start the fermentation process and here, and having the finished wine from the prior year. It's just like, that fruit is so good. It's so fun. And it's so unique. It's so wildly different than anything that we're able to do here at Tablas. And, we have the same impression with the Patalan fruit where, if we'll go through with a thief in the barrel room and you're just kind of pulling samples and trying different lots, and all of a sudden you try one, you're like, what is this? And you're like, oh, it's Patalan. And it's so, even though it was grown, just a few miles down the road, it's just not something that we yield from this property. So it's so neat to have, these bits and pieces that we're now bringing in and getting to share.
And for anybody who wants to try it, we have both the Finati Blanc and the Finati Rouge right now available in our tasting room. So if people want to come in and try them, they're both in keg right now and being served to guests. Okay, so I think we've brought people kind of up to speed as to where we are. And what things might look like over the next few days. Like what are you expecting to come in the next week or the week after?
I think things are going to start picking up, but numbers have been moving pretty slowly, and I expect this little bit of rain will slow them down a bit more. We did have a busy finish to the week this week planned, so that stuff's going to get pushed probably to next week if it doesn't dry out by the end of this week. We have a few younger blocks that we're supposed to get picked this week. So a block
what were some of those?
So it's named after one of the older vineyard guys here, Pedro. So it's some Morvet off of Pedro's block and some Vermentino off of Pedro's block, as well as some Vermentino from Nipple Flat. And then we were just about to break ground over on Scruffy Hill with Syrah and Grenache, cool. Along with a couple other lots on the main property. We're just starting to get into the reds, and then this happened. So,
yeah, spent a lot of time at the end of yesterday.
We did.
Filling out the plan for the rest of the week, and yeah, so we'll get back to it in the next couple of days.
Cool. And then so we're now the 23rd or 24th of September. Is your guess that we're going to be half done as we roll into October overall?
I think if things track, so here's the challenge. Everything that we were planning to finish this week off with has now been pushed out. The weather looks like it's going to start kind of a downward trend, get a little bit cooler, that's okay. Like that kind of slower evening ripening is good. I think it's us just, wanting it to be here. But like so far, the numbers that we're looking at look great. Sugars are accumulating. We are getting good sugar ripeness. The pHs remain low, which is kind of exactly where we like it to be. And the total acidity, the titratable acidity, is kind of tracking in line with what we'd expect more or less from the pHs. So as far as ripening seasons go, like it's just us and our own impatience and our own excitement to like be in harvest, while also making sure that we are respecting the season and appreciating the growing season that we are like that we're in right now. And things are just going to take a little bit longer. And it would be a very different situation if we were, seeing a lot of vines shutting down and, losing canopy and things just aren't photosynthesizing. Maybe it's too hot, like we've seen that in multiple years in pass robles. But this year, like things still look good out there. Things are still ripening. Things are tracking in the direction that we want them to be going in. We're just too excited.
Yeah, the hardest part is waiting, being patient.
Yeah.
Every year is so different, and because it is later this year and then we're having this weather, it's making it even later. We're sitting here looking at numbers like wanting to pick, and we're just so close.
Yeah, so it's good to have a team in there in the lab going over and like, okay, just
hold back. Hold back.
And I mean, we've had three fairly short compressed harvests in a row. I mean, last year we picked just about everything in 7 weeks because it heated up in July and didn't cool down until the end of October. Like it was go time. We were done. The year before in 23, we didn't start until the 16th of September. And so like that is going to naturally squeeze the amount of time that you have. And then 22 was a hot year before that was accelerated because of the heat. So like a 9-week harvest, which is kind of what it seems like we're looking at for this year. Like if you go back and look historically, that's average for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
For sure. We're used to those hot and fast and go, go, go.
And we're not saying that it won't get there. Like we'll definitely get to the point of harvest. We're like, this is too much. Why did we ever wish for this? But right now, that's what we want.
I'm still waiting for one of those days where I walk out onto the crush pad and see you and Neil just sort of looking around at all the bins and looking at the tanks and thinking, this is all got to go somewhere. Like there's always a couple of days like that.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Right now, it feels very luxuriant. So we have our choice of where to put things. Things can stay in there for as long as we like. We've been, settling out reds before racking them into barrel and ovals. Like, we have so much tank space right now, and I'm well aware that the situation will not last. So we are trying to appreciate this moment that we're in, because it won't be like this forever.
No. I don't think we've processed fruit after lunch one day yet this year.
Not one. Yeah.
Normally we do quite a bit of processing after lunch. Yeah, not at all this year.
Awesome. Okay. Last question. I'm going to ask you both to answer it. Like, if you had to describe this year so far in like 6 words or less, like what would you, how would you characterize it? Maybe, I don't know, Chelsea, I'm going to pick on you. You get to go first.
It's been, are we talking about the harvest or the growing season or a little bit of both?
However you want to answer it.
Yeah, so far I would say it's been mild and gentle. I think this is going to be a year characterized by long hang time. So, and that's
more than 6 words, but I'll give you a pass.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'd like to go. I'd like an extension.
You get that. You win.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I kind of said something similar to what I'm going to say now in the beginning of this, that it's similar to 2023, but with higher yields. And that's just what I think about pretty much every day, is that the numbers are like that. I'm going on too, but 2023, but higher yields is what I'm feeling.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the way that I described this vintage like it was really the growing season, not the vintage, because it was too early to talk about that yet. But the way I described the growing season earlier was it's been boring, which is just perfect. Like, so I'm hoping we continue to have this kind of gentle pace to harvest and continue to see the good yields and the good numbers. It feels like we're set up for something great.
I think so.
I agree.
Awesome. Okay, well, we will do this again when we're done with harvest, or maybe just as we're finishing it up. But I appreciate you taking a little time out of the, well, I guess not really a busy morning, but out of your mornings to share what you've seen so far. Thanks.
I can't wait to see the juxtaposition of that post or late harvest interview with us just like up to here and exhausted and frazzled, and then you replay me saying, but we're just so excited to start. Like, when is it going to start?
Every year at the beginning, there's like the bottle popping. In the end, we're just done.
I don't know. Maybe it'll stay leisurely, and we'll finish the second week of November, and it'll never feel overwhelming.
That would be so uncomfortable and wrong. I wouldn't know what to do.
That'd be weird.
I have to go intern somewhere else after this.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. Thank you everybody who joined us. I'll be back in 2 weeks with a more traditional one of my conversations. We'll have 2-time Cy Young Award winner Brett Saberhagen on as my guest. He'll be talking about the cool charity that he started called Sabe's Wings, which is a cancer charity, and how he's gotten himself immersed in the Paso Robles wine community. So I'll see you the second week of October. And until then, thanks for joining. Austin, Chelsea, thanks for taking the time. And those of you who are watching, if you are involved in your own harvests, may you be as relaxed as these two look right now.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jason.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.